Good morning, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Happy Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Happy kickoff week. We are here with our next pro, introducing to you Ashley Hill. How are you doing today, Ashley?
I'm good. I'm well caffeinated this morning. That's for sure. How about you?
Same. Doing well, doing well. I'm probably not going to get enough sleep this week, so I will need that help as
Nothing
we are.
happening, nothing stressful, no events whatsoever on the horizon, right?
Yep. No, just a little one. To profoundly kick off. We'll get to that at the end, but we're here to tell the people who you are and how you got to where you are. Starting with HubSpot expertise. What is it, and how did you get it?
So I got my HubSpot expertise, if you want to go back, way back, from a Craigslist ad, technically. So I was about end of 2010. It was about a year or two out of college, year out of college, and I was working in retail, and I worked in retail for like 10 years throughout college, and I was looking for a job, an office job related to kind of my experience. I've been building websites since 1999, back in the day before global style sheets. So everything is in line, and you want to make a menu change, it's all every single freaking page in Dreamweaver back in the day.
Man.
So I was familiar with front end, stuff, and so I saw an ad in Craigslist. They're looking for a customer support rep, and I'm like, well, all right. So that down Cambridge, and it wasn't too far from where I lived at the time. So I went in for an interview and kind of, you know, met with who would be my supervisor, and then his supervisor, then his manager, and kind of went up. And then I had a guy, and this is probably my favorite HubSpot related story. I had a guy come into the room, and I'm tired at this point. Like I'm just like, all right, I've met with a bunch of people, and I'm not really an extrovert. Really, is I think ambivert is the new one, where it's like I can talk to people, but then I need recharge time. And this guy comes in and he sits in the chair across from me, and he leans back and kicks up his feet up on the table, and he asks me the most asinine question about Twitter followers and how people with Twitter accounts should be graded. And I don't remember the answer that I gave to him at the time, but I remember the how I answered it, which was very sarcastic because just who I am. And he goes, something like, okay, cool. And then he just leaves. And that was Halligan. And that was
Wow.
end of 2010. And the company I was interviewing for was HubSpot. So I started early January 2011. I started working there. And there were 6 people in support, and there were 3 of us that were in that January class. So we grew the team to 9, which was, less than 2,000 customers at the time, and less than 200 people in the whole company. And it was growing, hockey stick growing quickly. So yeah, so that's where it started, and worked for there for a couple years. I was sick for a couple weeks. I had bronchitis or something where I couldn't really talk on the phone. As a support rep, you kind of need to talk on the phone. And so my boss said, go figure out live chat. Like, you can't talk on the phone to customers. Go figure out live chat. So I did. So I think I used Snap Engage is what is the tool that we used back then. So I figured out how to do live chat. We had this little code we put on the support page so people could live chat HubSpot support with us. I mean, everybody knows now, like, it's a very big part of the support side of things. And then it was a couple projects that I did there. The other one was there was a churn issue because people weren't using it. They would like sign up and then like never really get onboarded in a technical way. So they wouldn't connect their domain, they wouldn't import their people, they wouldn't import, create users, like all this kind of little niggly like technical side of things that sales reps you know, don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So the project was to create this checklist, schedule calls with the client, have email conversations with the clients, the customers, and kind of get all of these things set up, because if you're using it, you'll see value out of it, and so you won't leave us, right? And so that was the technical onboarding. That was the new project there, and so now that's built into the platform now. Now every time you open up a new HubSpot account, it yells at you all the checklists of things to do. So that. And I, for a while, trained all the new support reps. After I was there for a little while, I trained all the new support reps and some consultants when they joined. Like, here's the software, here's how it works. and then, try to throw new reps on the phone in their first week, feed them to the wolves a little bit and get that experience and get over the hump of talking to people about the software. So that was fun. And then about a year in, we were growing really fast. The whole company was growing really fast. I mean, we had like 4,000 customers. Just I can't remember the exact timeline, but and then it came to a point where we needed kind of more management folks and different tier support and stuff like that. So I was one of the two supervisors on the support side, managed a team of 12 at one point. And yeah, that was HubSpot. So I was there just about 2 years, which in the startup world is like forever.
Yeah. Yeah. How far we've come from 4,000 customers to
Right, right.
250,000. I
Yep.
think we just broke. So yeah, how has that uh first I'll say like that's far and away any company I've been in and any position I've been in. Like there's no better way to learn the product and learn the customers than starting on the support side. A lot of the best salespeople and marketers that I've met started on that side. And so I'm curious, as it's evolved, like what has been your experience? Because not everybody's evolved into like RevOps land and let's do the whole platform. So I'm always curious if you decided to stay over on like inbound marketing side, or how did you kind of think about your consultancy as it evolved with HubSpot?
Yeah, so when I first started working for myself, and that was 2013, I was living on the other side of the world and I couldn't have a, quote unquote real job. So I'm like, well, let me start doing my own thing. And then I had a goal that when I moved back to the US, if I hit a certain income goal, I'll keep doing it. And now that's 12 years later. So when I started, I was doing mostly development, CMS development work for agencies, white labeling for agencies. And that was great. And then I was doing, was the drinking the Kool-Aid, eating your own dog food, using I used the HubSpot account for my own business and was able to kind of grow that and start moving into more consultancy kind of stuff and doing more inbound and kind of full scope. For one of my clients, I was the first thing they did after they bought HubSpot was look for somebody to set it up properly for them. And I've been working with them ever since, really. So for a while, I was doing development for both HubSpot and WordPress sites. And at some point, I was like, you know what? I really hate WordPress because you spend more time going, why is cPanel down? Why is the domain having issues? Why do I have to update these 4 plugins every single week? Like stuff like that got to be like a drag. Like I'm not doing stuff. I'm just playing catch up. And so that's why I started focusing on just building HubSpot sites and then doing consulting on the inbound side of things. And I really have a pretty good split because, when I was a kid building websites at the local library because we didn't have internet at home, it was fun to just tinker with code and that I still have fun with that. Like I can write some stuff and then ship it and it's live on the web. Like it's fun to me. And I'm never going to get away from doing that. So I have a pretty good split. I have quite a few development projects to work on this week, which is I'm looking forward to. Uh, and so I do maybe 50%, 30 to 50% dev and 30 to 50% inbound, depending on, the time of year and the projects that I have. And that's a good, like I like having a mix of clients and a mix of things to do. Because when you're come across a development project, let me go build some workflows. Let me go develop some content. Let me go do other stuff besides like building a website. And then your brain goes, oh, right, I just figured out the answer to that. So
Yeah, in this journey, especially as a transition from WordPress, like, is there any kind of magic words that help people understand, or have you figured out why it's so hard for business owners or marketing leaders to really quantify like the pain of the plugin management and the maintenance and like the free platforms that sure, blank slate, you can do whatever you want, but problem is you can do whatever you want. How do you help like people understand the value of investing in something like HubSpot for their website?
I just show them smart content on their website, and that usually does a pretty good. I mean, it's is having everything under one roof just makes it so much easier, and you just take a lot of that admin pain. I mean, I will say I have some clients that they have their websites on WordPress now, and that's fine because we do a lot of the stuff in HubSpot. We do all the automation and everything like that. I'm not going in necessarily to, I might go in to build a page in Elementor or something like that, but not, landing pages and blog are on HubSpot. So it's really, if a client wants to control the whole process of their website for whatever reason, I have a client that has shopping e-commerce stuff. He's been on WordPress excuse me, he's been on HubSpot for a while, but not using kind of any sort of commerce stuff. That makes sense to have the shop, somewhere else. And so it's really a case by case, thing. But I'll say that I have moved quite a few WordPress sites to HubSpot. And then, being able to just create a page as a marketer without having to code, with having a library of modules already created and just drag and drop stuff in and going, it's built. I don't have to go fight with what template I should create or, any of that kind of, WordPress stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I was excited. It was 2020 when they they created the basic and free levels. And it's like, all right, we're going to compete
Yep.
with WordPress now.
Yep.
But let's take a step back and tell the people, like, who is Ashley outside of HubSpot?
I'm a side quest person, so I like doing various projects. I have entirely way too many unfinished projects in my personal stuff. Anybody who knows me knows that I just like to be outside as much as possible. Um, so I'm up in Maine. I go visit Boston on various occasions and get my nostalgia on, and pass by, drive through Cambridge and go, oh, look at the old HubSpot building, and right across the street from the new HubSpot building. I'm up here in the woods with my motorcycles, my dogs, and the boyfriend, and just enjoying space and not having neighbors I can see, which is nice, and be able to kind of focus on my own thing, and that's fun. And then yeah, I'm a tinkerer. I like solving problems. I like kind of needle in a haystack stuff. I get a lot of questions. I get on the phone with a client, and they're like, "We have this weird thing that's happening in this one report like 3 months ago," and I'm like, "Ooh, let me go figure out why." And that's just like fun. So I kind of apply that. I have a laundry list of things that I need to do on motorcycles this year. So like tinkering
Okay.
and working with my hands to do stuff, but also it's very similar with what I do, for HubSpot stuff.
Okay. So you do like cross country rides and stuff like that?
Yeah, dirt biking and yeah, and bicycle side of things. I would say I race bikes. I haven't really raced in a little while because I'm out here away from races, but I do bicycle racing and riding and stuff like that. So basically any outdoor sport that doesn't involve being in the air or underwater, I'm pretty good for.
Okay.
So
That's fair. So we've got a big event coming up this week. First time I've said that. Very exciting. We've got 8 tracks: HubSpot admin, web developer, integration developer, marketer, AI, RevOps, founder, and solopreneur. Which one of those, and maybe it's obvious, but I'll give you a chance to answer. Which track are you looking forward to the most there?
it's hard because a lot of those speak to me, and it's always fun to learn other stuff that I don't normally do. But solopreneur usually kind of is where I fall into things. Marketer also is fun because I'm sometimes the entire marketing department for some of my clients, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, the solopreneur track is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, we've got Stuart Malcolm leading that one. He's got some great stuff lined up. I'll get some advice from you then, because I get to do one of the web dev sessions with Aaron Wiggers, talking about client portals, HubSpot membership, stuff like that. But if you were in that track, what were some things that you think either nobody knows or are criminally undervalued in terms of HubSpot CMS that like should definitely be talked about?
Ooh, that's a good question. To be honest, I'm not sure that I can think of what a good answer would be for that at the moment. Until my caffeine kicks in more. But I don't know. I do, I build a lot for clients who I do a lot of migrations to things from things. I think one part that a lot of clients that I come in, that I talk to they've been on HubSpot forever, that they don't know anything about the database and like building stuff on the database and just being able to use that to just mimic WordPress-esque things. I have a project replacing resources, from a bunch of different pages and kind of consolidate into the database. So I use that a lot for my clients on the CMS. And I think that's probably, I don't know if it's underutilized by everybody, but it's definitely underutilized by projects that I'm coming across. Like, oh, we can
Okay.
just do this in a scalable way. Literally give me a spreadsheet and magic happens on your website.
Yeah, I agree. UpDB is always a part of most of the projects I work on. I just had a really good question and I lost it. Migrations. You brought up migrations. Always an interesting topic when it comes to moving stuff into HubSpot. How do you help, or I guess, where's the line between like, why can't we just import everything?
Hmm.
And here's why you don't want to just import
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, importing everything means you're pulling over the same mess, and there's a reason why you're switching CMS. It's like moving a house. Do you just pick up every single room as it sits and replace it into the new house? No, you go through stuff, you throw stuff out, you Mary Kondo stuff. Do you love it? If not, toss it. And the same can be had with listen. If somebody is using a CMS for years and years and years and decades at this point, there's going to be files in there and images that are like, you uploaded, something that you didn't mean to. It's just there's stuff, there's baggage. And so migrating to the new, like a new CMS, moving over to HubSpot gives a really good chance to clean up that clean up that mess and think about the structure of the pages and the flow of how somebody navigates the website and kind of make the most out of the CMS. Look for opportunities to improve stuff instead of just copy paste.
Yeah. Well, those are always some interesting conversations. So much tool set to take advantage of once you realize it's there. Like, why would you want to? Like, it's fun to like kind of rebuild stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
understand what's possible, especially when it comes to smart content and weren't using smart content before. That's a big part of our talk on Thursday is just about how like, you know, Amazon experience doesn't have to be out of reach. And it gets infinitely easier when you're in a system like HubSpot right next to the CRM. I've got a support question for you though.
All right.
Since you started there, I'm sure you have some empathy for the current support team. How in the world can they keep up with like high levels of support while the platform just moves
Hmm.
at light speed?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the one thing is they know about this stuff. They're going to know about this stuff way ahead of time. Um, I would assume if I was still there, like first thing you do, you have the support team in on stuff. I know when I worked there, I'd be in meetings with the dev team about new features, making sure on the support side of things we knew about stuff, so it wasn't a surprise. But also, I don't have quite I would specialize teams on things, so much like you have a product manager, you have developers on specific parts of the product, have support folks on specific parts of the product. Because a lot of the times, it's somebody's not asking you 5 questions about 5 different parts of the tool, questions that I get, but not necessarily support. It's one question at a time, really. And so that can be kind of, sent to the appropriate teams, at least, is how I would think about it. But it's hard. It's hard staying on top of stuff. That's why, like, I do that for my clients. I'm always looking at, ooh, what's in beta? What can I go test out in my own portal and try to break? And, that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's so many more support reps too than when I worked there, obviously. And I'm sure there's a lot of training and stuff that happens behind the scenes.
So when which use cases are you usually suggest for clients to try and reach out to support or maybe not come directly to you?
Well, if it's 2 a.m. on a Saturday, it's probably going to be quicker to get support through HubSpot generally, depending on what the thing is. Maybe not, I don't know. Um, I like having I guess this is cliche term, but holistic view. Well, I'll say a different way. I like having context with the more that my clients share about kind of their business goals and across everything, the better I can support them in their HubSpot instance. So if somebody says, "Oh, hey, this thing is broken," I know it's not because HubSpot broke, it's because the tool that they integrate with needs updated permissions or like something along those lines. So it really depends on the nature of yeah. If there's five things happen all at once, please email me. I'm going to take a look at them and figure out what the deal is. If it's a little thing, you're like, oh, why is this report doing a weird thing? Like maybe it might be quicker to do HubSpot, but I'm also a weird inbox zero person, um, which I didn't used to be, but I've gotten really good at it. And using AI to kind of help manage tasks and inbox and stuff like that. I try to answer stuff because it's fun. I mean, I'm always on. You'll see me on Reddit. You'll see me in the HubSpot community, just answering questions, and that's for fun.
Man, Reddit's a fun one right now. No better window into, let's say, the non-HubSpot super user than on Reddit. That was after about a year in Sprocketeer. I started making my way over there, and I was like, this is where everybody is. And it was just still fun to go, and it's just amazing as the customer base explodes,
Yeah,
and
all the
the
channels, the different
verticals.
channels they use. Yep.
Yeah. And but the different use cases that come up, like, and it actually taught me, I was one of the frustrated ones. I'm still frustrated, but not, I know there's nothing I can do about it except create content and help educate. But, as they talk about customer platform and then you see the marketing, there's just so much effort still on marketing. And then I started hanging out on Reddit and I'm like, oh, wow, there's still a lot of people that don't know what the marketing hub can do. And it's like, it's hard to imagine that when you're in these echo chambers that we can create on LinkedIn and in
Mhm.
Sprocketeer and stuff. So it's been very eye-opening,
Mhm.
and I highly recommend that Reddit for anybody who wants to learn how people are using HubSpot
Yeah.
and at every level.
Yep. I have a. I've worked on over the years. I've worked on a wide range of projects in wide range of clients and industries and things like that. And that's great. It's great to specialize in one industry if it's rinse and repeat. But for me, it's everybody has the same problem. It's how can they make the most out of their HubSpot account regardless of their industry. And everything is it's great to have templates to start with, but everything needs to be customized for everybody's internal processes and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been awesome. It's great to meet you, and thank you for coming by today.
Yeah.
Learned so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
If you're out there liking what you're hearing and you want to be a pro like Ashley, head over to profound.ly and click on the Give HubSpot Help button. It's right next to the Get HubSpot Help button, and sign up to be a pro. Short application process get you started, and check out the kickoff event that is coming up Thursday, March 6th, 3 days away. 2.5 hours of great content from some of the best in the community. Really excited for that. Big old CTA on the homepage if you want to go register. And until then, thanks so much, Ashley. It was great.
Thanks. I'll see you on the boards.
Have a great day, everybody.